Peace, Chem family. It's me, Bayanasset Khan Sekhmet, the naturopathic nurse for Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center, and I'm back with another video. So today's video was inspired by some conversation that I had in the nail salon recently. I recently found me a black-owned nail technician in Mount Vernon, actually, and I love going to the salon because it's owned by a Jamaican woman. I get to sit and listen and talk in patois, which I love to do. And so I was overhearing this woman, one of the clients, come in, and she started talking about how she was recently diagnosed with diabetes, and she was just talking about her struggle with it, and you know how she wants to change how she's eating. And she's like, well, I don't think that I eat that bad, you know, this thing runs in my family. And I always have to be careful when, you know, I hear things like that of chiming in, because I can really go off. But you can't give people information that was not asked for. You know, unsolicited advice is very rarely appreciated. So, you know, I take my time in responding to things like that unless somebody asks me. And so that's why I'm making the video. To get to any of you who think that you have a particular condition and you just stuck with it because it runs in your family. It's not that diabetes runs in your family. Diabetes, at least type 2 diabetes, is a diet-related illness. It is diet related. Now, if you go far back enough in your ancestry, you're going to see that when your family was living in their natural environment, diabetes was not in your family. It did not run in your family. It is the diet that you have adapted, the Western diet, that is not a part of your cultural background, that you have adapted, and those eating habits that run in your family. It's the eating habits, the lifestyle that runs in your family. So I've talked about this in several videos. I'm going to link them up here. The last one was cultural nutrition. So go ahead and watch that video after you watch this one so you can get a little bit more background on what I'm talking about. Some of us have grandmothers who have adapted to the environment that we live in a Western world, and have incorporated a lot of those foods into what they provide for us to eat, right? And so your mother cooked the same way that she saw her mother cook. Your aunts and your uncles all cooked the way that they saw their mother cook. And therefore, your mother began to cook and feed you those same types of foods that she saw her mother feeding her. And so your grandmother developed diabetes because she was she was introducing lard and butter and processed, enriched white flour and white sugar and all of these cookies and cakes and certain foods that are not a part of your cultural background, but are a part of the environment that we're living in now. And so your mother thought that was perfectly normal, and she started to do the same thing when she learned how to cook, because she learned how to cook for her mother. And then your mother developed diabetes, and your mother cooked a particular way, and you learned how to cook the way you saw your mother cook, and you continued those practices. And these are things that we've done out of ignorance, not knowing, because that's just what was taught to us. And so you developed diabetes as well. It's not that diabetes runs in your family, it's that the lifestyle runs in your family. It doesn't have to be that way, though. It doesn't have to be that way. you have the opportunity and you have the information available to you that maybe your grandmother did not have. Maybe she just didn't know. You understand? But you don't have to live in a state of ignorance, which is what generational curses really are. Okay, so people talk about breaking generational curses, and we think that this is something spooky or supernatural, that literally somebody said some words, mixed up some stew in a cauldron, and poof, your family's been cursed. It's not always like that. It's the practices that our families have continued based on a lack of knowledge that have caused generational curses, okay? Issues that have continued across each generation, right? Now, you being the one who has more information than your mother, and definitely more information than your grandmother had at the time, you have the ability and really the responsibility to break these generational curses. When you break generational curses, you heal your entire bloodline. You heal your bloodline 7 generations back. So all of the pain that was there, you heal that because you brought forth a new reality. Also, based on the way you're doing things, you're now creating a new generational pattern that your children will follow and their children will follow. So you heal your bloodline 7 generations in the future. That's a lot of power when it comes to breaking generational curses. And we're living in a time in the Aquarian age, which is the age of information, where you really don't have an excuse to live in ignorance. You have access to books upon books. You have access to the internet, where you can literally have information like that at the snap of a finger. You're watching me anywhere in the world right now, and you have access to the information that I'm imparting on this video. Your grandmother didn't have access to this. If everybody around her was doing things a particular way, that's the way that she knew how to do them. So you have a responsibility to really break those generational curses. Just because you have a lot of people in your family who have diabetes or cancer or heart disease or any other condition that is diet related and lifestyle related, it doesn't mean that you have to continue that. Okay? You have a responsibility to do things differently because you have the information that they did not have. Yes, it takes change. Yes, it takes discipline, and it takes creating a new palate for yourself. I know that those foods taste good. I know they taste good. But the thing is, once you begin to change your palate, once you get new information, it doesn't taste so good to you anymore because you realize what it's actually doing to you. I remember when I wanted to change my eating patterns, when I wanted to change my diet, and I used to love McDonald's, I used to love Popeyes, I used to love all of that food, and I thought it was so extreme to eat a plant-based diet. I thought that was extreme 8 years ago when I first started doing it. Might be even longer than that. But I thought it was totally extreme to do that at that time. And it wasn't until I watched a documentary called Super Size Me. This documentary totally began to shift my thinking when it comes to food and nutrition. Now, if you've never seen that, it's about a man who adopts a total McDonald's diet. Okay, he decided for a period of time, he was a originally eating a plant-based diet, because in the video, in the documentary, his girlfriend was a vegetarian, so he was eating a plant-based diet. He went to the doctor, he got his bill of health, had no health problems whatsoever, none, clean bill of health. So he adopted this McDonald's diet, and he specifically, whenever he went, when he was given the option to supersize it, remember they had the supersize option at McDonald's, they don't have that anymore, he always took the option to supersize it. So he decided he was going to eat McDonald's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of y'all are doing this, not even doing an experiment, you are actually eating like this. But this is what he chose to do. And over a period of time, he began to see his health totally decline. He started having heart problems. He started gaining weight. He started feeling like crap. He started totally feeling like crap, which I talk about in my book, High Vibration Nutrition, that the types of foods that you're eating really affect your mood. They affect the way that you feel about yourself. They affect the way you view life. They affect your perspective. So he showed all of that in this documentary. So once I saw all of that, and I saw how much of an effect the food actually had on my mood, my weight, and on my health, I decided to change what I was eating. And the funny thing is that once I changed what I was eating, my palate changed. You have to understand that you're used to the taste of these foods. That's why you don't want to eat natural foods. You think that it doesn't have enough flavor for you. However, once you detox, once you go on a plan for a certain period of time to eat a different way, those foods no longer taste good to you. Once my palate changed, I could not eat the way that I was eating before. Number one, because once I started eating a plant-based diet, it tasted so good to me. The freshness of the food, it made me feel different on the inside. My body felt different. My energy felt different. My mind was more clear. And if I would go back, because I would start to remember, ooh, that food did taste good, you know, let me try it again. I did not feel good after I ate it, and the food did not taste good to me like it did before. So you've trained yourself to eat a particular way, and you think that you can't do it differently, and that's not true. You can. You can alter your palate and train your palate to eat the things that are best for you and actually love them and crave them. So I say all of that to say to you that you do have the power to break these generational curses. No matter how good these foods taste to you, once you know that they're breaking you down, that they're causing all types of misery in your life and in your family's life, you have the onus on you to do something different, and you have the power to do it. And I break down exactly how you can do it and exactly the types of foods that you should be eating in my book. And this is the book, High Vibration Nutrition. Okay, a lot of you all have been asking me how exactly you go about eating a particular way, and I outlined it in the book. It's a very, very simple guide. There's a lot of books out there that give this information as well, but you know, there's so much in it that it can be overwhelming, and I wanted to make it very simple for you. So I break down how to do this as simply as possible in the book. There's no way that you're not going to understand how to do this once you read it and go through it. If you have any questions about it, just leave your questions for me in the comment section. If you want to reach out to me, go ahead and visit me at Kemeticwellness.com. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.